Hello and welcome to Health Bar Half Full, the podcast that makes you feel good about liking games, and I feel good about liking games and good in general. Why? Because my name is Randy Fluharty. That's not why, but Adam McDermott is here with me. He's taken time off his busy Microsoft ruling with an iron fist schedule.
Yeah, I'm going to try and put Game Pass in Teslas. That Elon Musk guy, big hit these days. Lot of buzz.
Oh
I
yeah,
think we want to get into Tesla.
definitely. He's doing a lot of work over there. So I mean, you two should meet up and trade notes. Make sure you guys are on the same wavelength there. Yeah. So
I have 4 Cybertrucks.
I saw a Cybertruck in the wild for the first time, and this is a very small rural area, so that's eventful. It is very weird seeing that when you got all these cars that look like real life objects, and then you've got something that pulls up and looks like it came out of a PlayStation 1 game. Like just legit.
I actually do like it.
Yeah.
I like the design. I really do. I want to steer with a controller.
Yeah, I don't want to listen. I'm not condoning the practices around the Cybertruck, how it was made, or the people that made it, anything like that. I thought it looked kind of neat too, and I'm not trying to be a contrarian. I'm just like, man, there's that thing's got something. There's something there. It's kind of stupid, but it's kind of I don't know.
Listen, too many cars look the same. You see a Cybertruck, you know it's a Cybertruck.
Yeah.
When people drive by, I was like, oh, was that a Toyota or a Hyundai? I don't know.
Yeah. So how's life going otherwise?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I finished my Elden Ring video.
Heck yes, you did. I have not watched it yet, but I did see it existed. I'm very proud of you and happy. How long did it end up being?
1 hour 23.
That is almost a feature-length video there.
I'm going to submit it to the Oscars next year under documentary.
Yeah. Well, did it come out? Yeah, so it's probably eligible for next year's Oscars, right?
Sweet.
Yeah, there were some weird nominations at the Oscars this year, so you got a decent shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen any of the nominees this year, but yeah.
The response so far has been great. Patrons, channel members can watch it at the moment, and like it's already got like more views than any other video I've done in pre-release.
That's awesome. So that bodes well for the public performance. And does it help you if I watch it after it goes live, or can I watch? Because I am a patron of yours as well. Does it matter to you?
Oh, you can watch whenever you want.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got to do that. I need to find the time to do that. But who's got time for that when we've got games and life and being positive about games and life? And this is the positivity podcast about games and who make the games, who makes the games, why game development companies and studios makes the games. And that's the topic for today. We're going to talk about game companies, specifically ones we like or dislike, or what we're on the fence about, and why for all of those things. And I just thought that was interesting because I hear what prompted this really was when I was streaming a watch along for the PlayStation State of Play a few weeks ago, and someone just immediately started trashing over a developer, and I'm like, well, that's interesting. You're not even going to see what they have to offer first. You're just going to just immediately hate this. And they said like, yeah, I don't know. I just hate them. I'm like, well, I kind of want you to show your work. And they were not able to show their work, but I want to do the work. So let's talk about it. Adam, let's start with saying, what companies do you like off the top of your head with it? There is no wrong answer.
There's one company.
And is it Microsoft?
It is Microsoft.
It is the only company
of all time. I don't even look at what anyone else is doing. We are the big players. We make the decisions. We set the trends. Others just follow.
I didn't even, I was concerned about inviting you on because I knew there would be a conflict of interest here. But at the same time, you are the most honest person I know. You rule with an iron fist, but you don't lie to people about it. You just do it. You get it done.
Yeah. Do you know who sucks though? Terrible.
Yeah.
Bungie.
Yeah. We hate
Terrible.
those guys.
When they're with us, they're on top of the world.
You liked them for a little bit there. Yeah. They were doing good stuff for you. In fact, they're a turncoat because they left initially they were going to work with Apple, and then they turned on them to work with you. That's the greatest possible thing that could have happened. But then,
Yeah, I love that stealing.
yeah, that
I
was
love
that
stealing.
was really good. But then it happened again, where but against you this time. They left and went and
Yeah, and
worked on their own.
that's not fair. You know, once a cheater, always a cheater is what I say.
But once you're always a cheater one time, you don't get to do it multiple times, especially when it's
Yeah,
against the number one. Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. I In all seriousness, folks, I don't know. I'm looking down over your list. Yeah, Insomniac, From Software. I don't think they do anything bad. Although apparently their working conditions aren't great in Japan, but whose are?
So you're bringing up a good point here, because I compiled a list based on vibes alone, because obviously I don't work for any of these companies. I've had passing interactions with some people at these companies through my previous employment, but nothing that, you know, attaches me to them emotionally. But I do have thoughts and feelings about seeing a company's name and being like, okay, that that makes me feel a certain way. And I kind of just want to articulate what that is. You brought up From Software, and I think that is the first company I listed because it seems like they can do no wrong with people. They put out games and everybody loves it and they're super excited. You put a From Software logo in the front of something, people are they don't care what follows it. It's just like, heck yes, it's From Software. And I think we can kind of articulate why that is, but is it fair, justified? Like, what do you think about it?
It is, but maybe it had a little bit. Oh wait, okay. I wanted to see if I wasn't speaking out of my arse. Starting in April of this year, employees are getting a 12% pay raise.
Right, but they're also a Japanese company and their pay tends to be lower by default, but also they don't lay people off nearly as much as someone, let's say,
Yeah.
from a company in uh our part of the world that you might run.
What's the other current starting salaries? That's like 24,000 US dollars a year.
That is
Maybe no. Yeah, right that.
that's
And now,
laughably
yeah,
low,
it's going to jump up to like 30.
which is still hilariously low. Um, that's not a lot of money.
No, not in where are they based? Tokyo?
And especially when you consider that they have created one of the best-selling games of all time.
I'm kind of curious about this.
About the finances
um,
of, you don't want to go down this
yeah.
rabbit hole about Japan. I had this discussion with a friend of mine who was like, "Oh yeah, Japanese in working conditions are great." I'm like, it it's a complicated topic. I don't necessarily want to just say that out loud. They definitely have their benefits compared to, this was a someone that lived in North America, and I said, yeah, they definitely have some advantages over North Americans, but they have their own problems too. And I don't necessarily want to paint a brush like that and just say like, yeah, it's way better over there, no problems at all. Japanese
Yeah.
business is ruthless. Like they will. You think you at Microsoft are bad?
Mm,
Just think about the the president of Nintendo, who is me.
yeah. I suppose like what you mentioned earlier, they don't seem to do. Oh, okay. Hang on. I figured out something. Their employee raises, that's only for like the folks who are starting out. So once you get, and people have been with the company, some of them with the company like 10 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
So maybe it is like you're sacrificing the initial big pay in order for longevity and security.
Yes, and that's also pretty standard with Japanese employment, is that people tend to stay with companies for basically their whole lives, and that ends up working out for them in the long run. So
Yeah.
again, it's not as black and white as saying it's good there, bad here. Again, pros and cons to each. Uh, but the we don't talk about that. We just say like, well, we really like the games they made, and they're not live service games, and that
Except for the last one, wasn't that a mixed reception? The three-player co-op thing?
hasn't come out yet. But that's
Oh.
a good point.
Oh, did the beta come out or
But
something?
yeah, so there was a public network
Okay.
test, and which I'm sitting here thinking it's a public network test. of course it's not going to work. That's kind of the whole point. They they want to test it to make sure that when they actually charge money for it, that it's going to work. Then they need to break it now. And everybody got really mad here. Just like, oh, how dare you? Like, how dare you do this to us? You didn't pay for anything, so, and we owe you nothing. That's why we did that. We're trying to do this test. You volunteered your time. You signed a thing. Like it. I don't even know if they signed a thing. I didn't participate, but I assume there was a terms of service thing that you had to agree to. So it can quit. It can turn quick, right? Like something is. I don't think that ruined their reputation by any means, but they did a misstep in the eyes of the public. It's very, very interesting because I don't think that was actually anything they did wrong. It was just what happened there. Conversely,
Yeah, I don't think it's a big misstep. It's just like, they're not infallible.
yeah, and no company is, right? Because let's head on over to generally disliked at this point, just to throw something else in the mix. Blizzard. You say that no company is infallible. At one point, everyone thought Blizzard was.
Mm.
And now they're among the most hated companies in the history of the world. People are so mad at them. I'm mad at them in some ways, right? And we can articulate why that is.
So
But
I'm not fully up to date on what they've done. I know there's a big blunder with, you can play a game on your mobile phone.
yeah,
Duh,
so we'll
don't you
we'll
have
get
phones?
we'll go through. First of all, I will recommend Play Nice: The Rise and Fall of Blizzard by Jason Schreier. The book, it is brilliant if you're interested. But very brief summary is that they were making hit after hit after hit for like a decade, and then they got purchased by Activision, and Activision and their creative philosophies clashed in such a way that had really long-term effects on what they were able to do.
Why did they get so a company that was absolutely crushing it? Why did they sell off? Why did they merge?
Because they were never independent. So the companies that owned them sold them without their without their say so.
What the hell? That doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, well, that's how. Again, very interesting story. I recommend that book. It
Okay.
yeah. So they got investment slash purchased early on before they were proven, and then they were just owned in perpetuity by somebody. And the companies usually that owned them weren't doing well, so they had to sell. That was usually what happened there. A to B to C, and they ended up at Activision, where, and keep in mind, they ended up at Activision post World of Warcraft, and World of Warcraft was a game changer not just for them but for the world. It was like, this is the
Mhm.
biggest money making game that has ever been that has ever existed, and
Also, a quick side story for World of Warcraft. About 10 years ago, I worked at a petrol station.
yeah.
And one of the guys who worked with me as my supervisor was a guy in his 30s. I was into games. I was, had my YouTube channel going, doing things. I said, "Did you ever into games?" And he goes, "Big time World of Warcraft." I went, "Really? This
Yeah.
guy like a kid and a wife." And yeah, big time. Almost lost the wife over it. Don't play anymore.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I can see it. So there are. I've dipped back into World of Warcraft every now and again, and I get to the spot where I'm like, I can't dedicate any more time to this, and I have to stop.
Yeah.
If it
Or
was
you
the
will lose
other,
your wife.
exactly right, where okay, I would have to sacrifice time that is allocated to other responsibilities and familial obligations, and if I don't, there's a crossroads here. I could either just accept that and keep playing, or I can continue to be married. And I chose marriage. So if that guy fell on the
So
other
that was
side of that,
stupid.
yeah, what was wrong with me? I could have
Think
10
think
max
how
level
much
characters by
gold.
now.
Yeah, instead of like a person who loves you unconditionally.
Yes, why, who
What an
needs that
idiot.
garbage? My character's all I need. That's the only love that I require is
Yeah,
my,
you can have 10 characters. You
yeah,
can only have one wife.
me and my undead priest. We go on adventures together. That's the only love that matters. So World of Warcraft came out, blew up, tons of money coming in. Activision purchased Blizzard, and they're like, "Well, you should make another world. You should be like making World of Warcraft sized games every year." And I'm keeping in mind, this is a really complicated story that I'm summing up, and I don't want to say Activision is entirely to blame here. Blizzard slowed down. They didn't know how to follow up World of Warcraft, because how would you? Because that's the biggest game ever. And
Yeah, it's
they
like the person who invented the wheel. People don't like, what do you do next though?
yeah, and they're sitting there creating all these projects that go nowhere. They're canceling projects. Games aren't coming out. They're wasting, relatively wasting, because they're still raking in the cash, because World of Warcraft is just a money growing machine, right? So that's not going anywhere. But at the same time, like, they can't rely on World of Warcraft forever, and they couldn't come up with anything else, so they just canceled so many projects that weren't getting off the ground. And they went to Activision like, why aren't you just letting us do our thing? We're gonna do it. We just need to be able to do this. And Activision's like, you killed 3 of your past projects. You got to get something out the door. Like, we can't trust you to just ride on World of Warcraft forever. You got to get something. So extremely complicated back and forth there. But then eventually, some very higher ups, and there's inner, personal stuff going on. There was some working condition stuff going on, all outlined in the book, and I'm sure you can look it up. I'm sure it's there. But
Any sex scandals? That'd be cool.
a little bit of that sort of stuff, but I'm not going to detail them
Not
because
not 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 of the assault variety. I'm talking of the, affair variety.
yeah, probably. Like, I don't want to, because I don't want to get sued, so I'm not going to say it
Yeah, I
specifically
was only
in
messing
case I
around.
miss a detail.
I don't want to read about some poor person's trauma being harassed.
Yeah. Again, the book goes into details, cites all their sources, and hides the names where it is necessary. I can't recommend the book enough, and that is Play Nice by Jason Schreier. Anyway, super fast forward, Activision ended up winning that fight where, okay, you have to start putting stuff out. And they ended up scrapping, or sorry, salvaging a lot of assets from one of their games that got canceled, and they turned it into Overwatch, which was a huge hit.
I heard that's a big deal.
That was a
That's a
big
big deal.
deal. But then they had differences about how to continue supporting Overwatch, whereas the development team's like, well, we want to make sure there's a lot of free content for the people that are already there, blah, blah, blah. That's not how Activision saw it, so they ended up having conflicts there. The guy that led Overwatch left. Overwatch 2 was announced, and they made all these promises about it. And then when it came out, it was just a patch for Overwatch 1 to replace the title. It is now Overwatch 2. It is largely the same, only now there are monetization things that weren't there before. And the promises they made, like single player content, they canceled that entirely. So people got really mad about changing a beloved game to just what looked like a pure business thing. There was the phone game thing you alluded to, which is they tried to pass off a phone game as if it was a big deal at their biggest conference every year to a fan base that is largely PC gamers. They say like, oh yeah, here's the big announcement for this year's BlizzCon. It's a phone game, and everybody lost their minds. Everyone was unhappy about that. Uh, they mishandled Hearthstone, which was also another hit, and just all in all, a big mess. And now we've got people really unhappy with Overwatch 2. The working conditions people are unhappy about, the way they treated some of their esports players. They canceled games that were live that had a fan base because it wasn't making enough money, but it was making some. And this is coming from the company that was immortal in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, to give you an example of their downfall, their Wikipedia page has an entire section called Controversies and Legal Disputes. One such problem was in 2021, and it was California Department of Fair Employment and Housing versus Activision Blizzard.
Now, that in and of itself is probably enough to say I hate Blizzard. However, I think most people, the general public, is that I'm mad about Overwatch 2. I'm mad that World of Warcraft isn't doing what I want it to. I'm mad that Blizzard's not making the game that I want. Uh, I don't hate Blizzard in that way. I am disappointed with what I learned about it by reading that book. Same time, they were human beings trying to do a thing, and stuff clashed. It's just, as you mentioned, From Software is not infallible. I'm proof, because Blizzard, man, I wish I could describe to people that are younger just how unstoppable Blizzard was in the late 90s, early 2000s. It looked like were just they were destined to rule the world. And it's just not that today. Not even close.
Well, yeah, between World of Warcraft, Diablo, StarCraft, first Overwatch, like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Those are just like even Hearthstone as well, adding
Yeah.
in to kind of like the spin on like just juggernauts
Those
of
are
games.
cultural shifting games. They're huge juggernauts. Still, even in some cases, Diablo 4 did really well. That wasn't that long ago, and their expansions are doing all right. The most recent World of Warcraft expansion is doing pretty well. So, but everybody hates them now. They reluctantly buy the things that they put out. People do. So yeah. Is there any, again, going on that list, or anything else that you can think of that's not on this list that you want to address or talk about?
Nope. But should we tell people what the list is?
Sure. Well, I can. This is again going entirely on vibes off the top of my head. I have a list here of generally liked, generally disliked, and question mark, which is I was on the fence about it, couldn't decide where to put them. And we'll go down the list here. Generally liked, I have from.
And you did make a fourth category called
Well,
gods
that
and just put in
yeah, well,
Microsoft.
yeah, that goes without saying because there's no debate there. There's no reason to mention it. So just
Yeah.
Microsoft in there.
Yeah.
But in seriousness, Microsoft is here, and I will list it off when I get there. So we got generally liked From Software, Larian Studios, CD Projekt Red, Nintendo, Insomniac, id Software, Capcom, Atlas, Platinum Games. I don't know why I put Platinum Games there now that I think about it, because I don't know if I would put that there.
See, Platinum Games definitely deserves to be there because half their games are terrible, but people still like them.
Yeah, but aren't they mad because that didn't the guy, I forget his name already, but he left, and Bayonetta 3 wasn't that well received. So like the combination of those two things, I thought maybe put him on the fence. And they went live
I don't
service.
know.
They tried to go live service, and that didn't go well. So I really I regret putting it there. I might have put it on the fence. But you're right. They did have that thing where it's like, okay, their games are not that great, at least by my standards, and maybe maybe their fandom is just carrying them through.
Yeah.
Uh,
They come out and they just show some kick-ass action in like Ninja Gaiden 4. People go, "Sweet, yeah, Platinum Games, like them."
I don't like Platinum Games. This is games, for the record. I want the record to show it. I don't like those
Mm,
fast, twitchy action games. Really, there was a time where I did, but then uh, uh, I don't even want to say all flash no substance, because that's not true. There is substance there. I just don't like the substance.
that's okay.
Yeah. So what do you think?
You're wrong,
Yes, I'm
but
right.
that's okay.
Yes, exactly. I did like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. I like that a lot. That was fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you think in common right now? Because Capcom was also on the bubble a few years ago, and now I feel like they're in the green or the black, whatever the phrase is.
Yeah, they decided let's re well, I think Resident Evil 7 changed their trajectory.
Heck yes, that is, yeah. And then they just put out banger game after banger game for like 6 years in a row, and everyone's like, okay, I guess they're here to stay now because
Yeah, and
we
then they
missed you,
decided,
Capcom.
what if we remake Resident Evil 2? And people went, "Oh, incredible idea." It's like, this is a proper remake from a game 20 years ago. This is what remakes are for.
And that remake just is so good. It's just so good. Such a great
Mhm.
game. Um, but so kind of
And then,
everything in
yeah, I was gonna
common.
say, like, Devil May Cry 5 came back as well.
Yeah, they brought back Devil May Cry, and people seem to like it. And they brought back Dragon's Dogma, which is something nobody thought was going to happen. Just they're just
Mhm.
doing everything for the people. Bring back Mega Man at this point, though, because
They're and after, like, 2 decades, they're bringing back Okami.
yeah. Wait, is that technically Capcom still? Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're making Okami too.
Yes, but I didn't know if that was Capcom or not. But yeah, I think it is.
Oh, this is a good question, isn't
Well,
it?
because the
Um,
new company, but I think he's working with Capcom. It's what is it? I don't remember. I don't remember how the details worked out, and I've
mm,
got too much going
yeah,
on
it's
my
okay.
screen to change it or to fact check. So But we got the generally liked. Those were the
Grand.
ones that are generally liked, and I want to kind of discuss what do they have in common that gives them the vibe that people like them. And I think it's just they put out games people like, kind of, right?
And don't appear to be evil.
They don't appear to be evil. That's a key distinction
Yeah.
because Nintendo's on this list.
Yeah. We can, hiding how evil you are because Nintendo, now they are the most evil.
They are, but they're generally liked, right? Even though they continued, there's a new story every day about how just they're crushing someone's dreams and suing the pants off of everybody, but everybody still really wants that Zelda because it's good, and Zelda is good. So
Yeah, I think you just your public presentation can't be bad, and you can have missteps, but you really have to own them. Like CD Projekt Red had a huge misstep with Cyberpunk,
and they
but they
but
seem to have recovered.
they seem to recover. They seem to own it, right? Yeah, accountability, right? Yeah, we messed up. We shouldn't have done that. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna make it right. Uh, but they also had their own share of crunch stuff, working conditions, all that stuff came out around that time, and which they also now keeping in mind they also held themselves accountable for that too. There's like, yeah, totally, we did that. We're gonna try to be better about it. Um,
I think work crunch has very little effect on how people view the studio.
which makes sense, right? Because fans especially, don't empathize or sympathize with developers at all. They just want to know what the product is. They don't, and I think largely,
Yeah.
unless something comes out and says this was actually outright evil in terms of some kind of scandal, some kind of legal thing, we just want the product that makes us
And
happy.
and I think as you're, an adult, no matter what industry you work in, there is some sort of crunch. You can work retail jobs and come the holidays, you're crunching,
Yeah,
There's just periods of time when
definitely,
work gets crazy.
definitely. I've been there. I don't want to say crunch because it sounds like I'm overselling it, but I did work super long weeks at my last job, and that was game industry related. So that it definitely happens. You got a deadline that you can't move. The only the only factor that changes is how many hours you put in before that deadline. It is really the only thing that you can change about it. So what do you got to do? It's the way it is. I
Yep.
there was actually a time where I kind of wanted to crunch. Like it was my dream to be when I was watching old videos of people making PlayStation 1 games on demo discs and stuff. Uh, and they would be sleeping under their desks. Part of me was like, yeah,
I
yeah,
want to be so passionate about something in my lifetime that I'm willing to sleep at the
yes,
office.
you understand. So with like-minded folks, right? We're all passionate about this. We want this game to be killer. So we're not going home. We're getting takeout and we are sleeping under our desks. And
Yeah, even on a very small scale, finished up the Elden Ring video. I worked 7 straight days.
yeah, right? Yeah, and I've been there, but never in a group setting, so I didn't have the camaraderie aspect. And I definitely didn't have the financial incentive to do it. So it was like it's a little different, but yes, absolutely. And I think, largely speaking, if someone is putting out a product, the vibe from the public is based on those products, and it accumulates over time. Where CD Projekt Red again looked immortal because of the things they were doing. They're giving away stuff for free. The stuff that they're giving away is good. Uh, they didn't give a no one cared about how they made the game. They're just like, here's the product, here's what it is. But then the other product that came out was not that good, and everyone felt like they were betrayed. I don't know what. It's weird, right? We had this relationship with these companies where like, oh, I thought you had my back, CD Projekt Red, and then you did me rotten. Like, but
Yeah.
same time,
That big gameplay demo, all the trailers, and then people get the game in their hands and go, "What? What the fuck is this?"
yeah, and that's true, and but that is also game development, and they are not alone in doing that. And I also don't. They didn't do it on purpose. They didn't try to lie to you. They just said this is what we were able to put together in this demo, and then when the game came out, we weren't able to we weren't able to make it look like that. And it still looks pretty
But
good.
that is lying.
Is it though? Like it's not if you
I think so.
intend for the graphics to look like that and just aren't able to pull it off.
Yeah, that's why you get that watermark in every video now. It says "work in progress."
Exactly.
But you assume that means the game will only look better than what you're showing.
Hey,
Not this is what we're hoping it will look
you got
like.
lawyers in Microsoft, you know. That covers you.
Yeah, I'd rather them show me the current build of the game, and then when it comes out, to go, "Whoa, it's so much better."
Oh, that's really interesting though, because I think I agree with you, but I think you're alone. I think we are alone together. I think we are the minority in that. I think most people want to see the most bombastic, sexy gameplay they can possibly see.
Yeah,
Uh,
great. So then do that trailer like 4 months before release, not a year and a half
yeah.
when it won't look that way.
Well, that's why Microsoft is doing as well as it is, because that's
Yeah, we're
those
crushing
are the
it.
decisions that you make, and they trickle down. And
Game Pass on your fridge coming this Christmas.
yeah, and you know, none of these companies, for the most part, with the exception of Platinum, which is why I kind of regret putting it there, they're not live service companies, right? They're not trying to.
That
They
helps.
they don't really have microtransactions in any way that I can think of off the top of my head.
You are missing a studio there who recently sold about 1,000,000 copies of their latest game in about 24 hours.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hazelight.
Yeah, and that
Joseph
so
Fares.
I think that's actually a newly um they're new. Like this is fresh in terms of the positive reputation. I'm also, and again, we're going strictly on vibes here. It seems like now, ever since they announced Split Fiction, that people are like, you know what? Yeah, Hazelight,
Yeah,
Joseph
it's like,
Fares.
we make yeah, it was like, "This guy," and it's like, "Oh, yeah, Split Fiction, A Way Out, hang on a second, they've been crushing it for a decade
Yeah,
and
and
being
he's
really goddamn cool about things."
as the front man for that company. Joseph Fares is unstoppable. Like he is authentic. He does not care about he comes off as a guy that is against the establishment in a really rock star kind of cool way, and he puts out products that kind of align with that. Right, I'm going to give half my copies of my game for free away to everybody. Like, okay, great. I'm never going to do microtransactions or live service nonsense. Fantastic. I'm going to swear at you. Yeah, you are. Give it to me,
Yeah,
Joseph
I wanna
Ferris.
s I'm a passionate man, and my game is fucking amazing.
Yes.
Like, good.
Yeah. So I'm right there with you. That's a really good one, cuz but it's so fresh that it didn't even cross my mind, where it was like it just happened whenever the when I don't even remember when they announced Split Fiction. Was it the Game Awards? I think it was.
Yeah, but I would say probably it's been rumbling for quite a
Oh yeah,
while.
it's been
The
under the
amount of
surface with It Takes Two. I think everyone's like, hey, maybe there's some. It just quietly won Game of the Year that year. By the way, that was the thing.
yeah,
No one
because I
thought that
think
was gonna win.
yeah, A Way Out was cool, but it was for a particular type of audience, and then when It Takes Two came out, every male gamer, console gamers that who had a girlfriend or a wife was like, "We can play this together?" And then just create so much goodwill and happy memories. It was like, oh, but there's like if there's a Haze-like game, people get excited to co-op.
A Way Out was a good proof of concept. It was
Yeah.
not entirely there, but it was like, oh man, there's something to this idea. If they hit it out of the park with the next one, and they seem to. I never played um It Takes Two. I want to, but I my wife is so outside of wanting to play games in general that even that concept doesn't do it for her.
Yeah. Do you wanna guess how many copies? Now, by the way, this is a copy that it could have been 2 copies, but do you wanna know how many units It Takes Two sold?
Yes.
It is about 10 times higher than I thought. They've sold 20,000,000.
20 million copies, which arguably means 40
40,000,000.
million.
But 40 million people have played It
40
Takes
million
Two. That
people
is,
have potentially played It Takes Two. That is an absurd number. Like those are, I mean, those are From Software numbers in a lot of ways, right? That's not too far off
yeah.
from what
Elden
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 Ring.
Ring is 25 million.
Yeah. So, man, that's a good one. That might be the winner. Haze Light. Everyone's super happy about Haze Light right now.
Yeah,
And
and
Larian, same
riding that.
deal. Also won a bunch of
Mm,
clout for what Sven, whatever his last name is. I can never pronounce it. The Larian head said at the Game Awards this past year.
yeah.
So everyone's happy about Larian. It's Nintendo's the weird one where it's like they just continue to do all these things that are kind of anti consumer, but their games are so good that everybody's just whatever. Like you do whatever you need to do to get me those games, Nintendo. If you have to sue me, that's fine. Just give me the Zelda after. Make sure the
Yeah, they tend
Pokemon.
not to. Maybe it's because they just primarily speak in Japanese. But when they do the directs, it's kind of all you really hear from them.
Yeah,
But it's like they're kind of quiet. I think PlayStation have tried to do this version of communication as well in the past few years. Ever since kind of like Jim Ryan was stepping down,
yeah.
they didn't have Jack Tretton's gone, the big personalities. Like, let's just do the Nintendo style. It's like, shut the fuck up for most of the year.
Yeah. I think that's a good segue to the generally disliked, and I will read those off right now. And again, going strictly on vibes off the top of my head, I have generally disliked companies. EA, which is Electronic Arts, which I don't think they go by anymore. So EA, Ubisoft, Blizzard, which we've talked about, so we won't go back into that. Konami, Square Enix, and Take Two slash Rockstar. We could probably do those separately. Uh,
Square Enix are disliked?
Currently, yes. If we so Square Enix is the haze light of the disliking. It is relatively fresh when it comes to.
What do they do?
So Final Fantasy 16 was relatively poorly received. I say relatively. It did well enough,
What?
but every time it did again, I'm saying relatively here. It did well enough, but Square Enix always does this thing where a game sells and then they come out and say like it was below expectations. Uh,
They're just being honest
but then they
because
come out and
I've got
say
very high
it's true. Yeah,
expectations.
I mean that's not again, these are vibes here and this is just how I perceive the people are perceiving. I don't necessarily agree
Okay.
with the public consensus. But they also kind of refuse to cater to the audience that they have and instead try to get a bigger audience, which again is just kind of the system, right? Like this, they're trying to grow instead of just make the people that they have already happy. Um, Final
So
Fantasy
I'd push
14
back.
is doing pretty
I'd
good.
push I pushed back on that. Didn't they, remaster all of their Final Fantasy original games?
Yes, but they did it in such a way that people were unhappy about. That's my point. Is that
Oh,
the people were really unhappy about the text inside the font inside those remasters. People didn't necessarily like the way it looked. People were upset about the price. People were upset that it didn't come out all at once. People were upset that it wasn't on all platforms at launch. Uh, so yes, people are happy that they get to play those games again, but they're not happy that with the way that they did it.
this is probably where Square Enix, the developers, and Square Enix, the publisher, kind of
Definitely, definitely,
have a divide.
because
I don't think. I think the developer side would be like, let's just put all the games out together, and the publishers, no, 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 no,
yeah.
let's make more money.
So the head of Final Fantasy 14, Yoshi P, I don't actually know his real name, but he goes by Yoshi P. Uh, is a rock star and everybody loves him. He is the Joseph Ferris of Square Enix. However, you can kind of tell he's kind of shackled to the businessy parts where he kind of has to hold back sometimes, and what he says versus what the company does are somewhat at odds occasionally. Square Enix was also big into NFTs for a minute. That was something that people were upset about. They mentioned uh, AI faster than most companies have, and AI is a hot topic right now. So there's just general perception about it, and you can make an argument that it's not as negative as these other ones, and you'd probably be
Yeah.
right.
What
So
I personally do though is I use my AI to make NFTs. I can make
genius,
thousands in like
jeez,
a second.
genius.
Yeah.
I said Jesus and then I said genius. So you are Jesus genius. Or genius
Yeah. See,
Jesus? That's hard to say.
folks, like people are trying to do actual art. Stupid.
That's a waste of time as far as I'm concerned. You need to be cleaning floors and stuff. Robots can't do that. So
Hmm.
you should leave the fun stuff for the robots and you get manual labor done. Gosh darn it. Brilliant. So I don't know if we're again vibes here. And that I think brings up another case study for what makes people upset about a company. And I think partially in Square Enix's case is that their fans are very passionate. They are very, very loyal to the properties that they put out. And if they do anything that is slightly askew of what that community's expectations are, then it looks worse on them on paper. I'm kind of with you that it is a little bit of a. I could go either way. I could put them on the bubble, uh, if you talk to me enough about it. But as I was slapping this list together, that was one that popped in my head. But we've got these other ones here, Ubisoft, which, again, now that I think about it, I'm not sure the public. Well, my perception is that I don't like Ubisoft's games for the most part. So this might be a
That's my
personal pick.
perception,
Yeah.
but I haven't played one in about 10 years.
That's I mean, I played Prince of Persia, that one that came out last year.
Good.
That was great. So if I grade them on that Prince of Persia, then hey, the best company in gaming right now.
The internet has told me that I don't like Ubisoft and they are boring.
Yeah, kind of vibes, right? Is that, and in some ways, I wrote them off because they were boring. I wasn't liking the way that they were making their games. I didn't like the. It doesn't mean that they're not popular or that people don't like it, but it was definitely they were following a formula that was not my favorite.
Yep.
But you also got and that's actually one of the cases where the working conditions and stuff like that, where women were mistreated in that company at large. They had tons and tons of layoffs, and that's kind of true of most of these companies. There's tons and tons of layoffs. But the difference being is that usually companies kind of hold their leadership accountable when that stuff comes out, and that did not happen with Ubisoft, where it was just like, yep, business as usual. Yeah, all that stuff was true. Nothing's changing. It is what it is. So
Also, their company logo changing to look like dog shit.
unacceptable. Unacceptable. That's why I hate
I was more offended by that than all the women being sexually harassed.
As you should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was way more important to me.
You know what I've noticed? I was thinking about as we were saying that out loud. That would be a good clip to. However, I've had very satirical clips backfire because people think I'm serious, but backfire in a way that increases engagement. So maybe,
Woo!
Yeah. Go ahead and dislike my videos. Yeah, you get mad and start arguing in the comments.
This is why we don't have any women on this podcast.
Yeah,
we don't like.
We don't have any that we know, and I would definitely don't like them. So, just in general, I am married to a woman, so hopefully
which you barely tolerate.
Exactly, like this. Just hopefully she doesn't hear any of this.
Don't show this episode.
Yeah,
like we're actually joking.
Yeah, she would
I thought I liked that Adam guy. He's an asshole.
No, she knows me. She knows you, so she would not be upset or offended. She thought my shorts were funny, my clips, my YouTube.
She was like, more misogyny. It's funny.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's Ubisoft. So we've got EA here
too. What's the story? Well, EA is everyone hates EA. They're like number one.
It's a good question. What was I thinking about Take-Two? I don't know why I put that there. I guess just the Borderlands thing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, like what have Rockstar done? They've done GTA 4.
Yeah.
Sorry, 5 online, Red Dead Redemption 2, and now GTA 6.
Well, arguably, people are upset that they abandoned Red Dead Online. That's where I was going with that, but that was ages ago.
Enough people weren't playing it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement there. We could move those. I don't even know if I'd put them on the bubble. I just don't know if they qualify for I don't think they're eventfully liked or disliked. They should just be omitted from the list. But people didn't like some of the, they Randy Pitchford. Uh, I have no personal opinion or anything about Randy Pitchford, but he seems to rub people the wrong way, and I think
I find him okay. How about this? He makes my skin crawl.
he's definitely got an aura.
Slimy.
He's definitely got something about him.
Yeah,
But
he starts talking like he did recently thing and a little promo for Borderlands.
yeah,
I was like, why is this guy so gross?
well, do
See,
you?
I can tell this because I don't work in the game development.
No, well,
You gotta keep
I don't currently work in the game industry. I don't have a personal. I'm only articulating or speculating about why people might feel that way. There were stories, not as like this was confirmed. This happened where he just had a thumb drive full of pornography that he left at a medieval times once, which was very
Yeah,
weird. Like
see this
that's just a,
this tracks.
and
My feelings were correct.
it's not like, oh, that's inherently evil. It's just why? Why did you bring a thumb drive of porn to a medieval times? I just don't understand.
He couldn't go one afternoon.
He had to be
without
ready. He's like, okay, well, as soon as I encounter a USB drive, this is happening. Uh, you never know when you need spontaneous.
Why did he bring to the medieval
Oh no, look this up.
times?
I swear to you that this is a real story. And he was on podcasts explaining himself about it. He's like, but you got to see this porn. Like, this is why I can't just not carry this around.
Yeah, no, you're correct.
Yeah.
Amidst the legal battle, Randy Pitchford says he left his USB stick of porn at medieval times.
Yeah. So fortunately I can't be sued because I think that actually happened. But this is all alleged. I'm going to add allegedly at the end just to be safe. But I think you get enough of that stuff around, you're just getting the human mind is powerful,
Sorry,
right?
Randy, look at this quote.
Okay.
Pitchford declared that the thumb drive was his and requested its prompt return.
Right. Of course.
He's like, give it back. What is wrong with this guy? He's like in his 40s.
At the time, no, he's in his 50s now. He's got to be.
Yeah, this was from 2014 when it
Yeah.
happened.
But
Oh my goodness.
so when I've been doing content creation a decent amount these days, and I'm sitting there thinking like, it just feels like things are going good, right? There's momentum. People are showing up. There's just little tiny signs that things are changing in the positive direction here, and I can't articulate why. I can't specify the numbers to you that they're actually that much better, but my subconscious knows that it's improving. And I think that's what we got here with Randy Pitchford is that we can't really tell you exactly why we don't like him or why he's gross. But the subconscious understands. You recognize a few signs, enough of them, and you can say like, yeah, I don't know, he just kind of rubs me the wrong way.
There's some pretty bad allegations in this lawsuit, Randy. Do you want to hear some of them?
And this was 2014.
Yeah, around 2014, 2017.
Go for it.
Uh, Allegations that Pitchford, quote, siphoned Gearbox profits to fund parties thrown by Pitchford and his wife, known as peacock parties, where adult male guests have reportedly exposed themselves to minors to the amusement of Randy Pitchford.
To the amusement of Randy Pitchford.
That's a pretty wild allegation.
Yeah. I won't comment on that just to
No,
keep myself
even I
safe.
wouldn't comment on that. Like, that's a pretty hardcore.
That's harsh.
allegation.
That's messed up. So could you imagine if those allegations came out today? He would step down, right?
Yeah, you'd have to.
That's just a whole new world we live in where something like that happens and now there are repercussions for that where that wasn't always the case.
So one of the things that doesn't help his case is that he then went on a podcast and talked at length about the porn he enjoys watching.
That's what I was talking about. Is that I feel like this was right after the thumb drive thing where he went on a podcast and said like here's why I carried around the thumb drive. Like you got to understand. If I explain it to you, you will understand why I had to carry this around on my person at all times. So I guess that's take two. Maybe that's why we talk about the I was talking about the subconscious. Maybe that's what in the back of my mind was happening there. Adam may have discovered something else.
Okay, back to the USB stick. Randy, this is just wild stuff.
That's going to be the thumbnail. I'm just going to put a USB stick on it.
The porn from the girl who he liked.
Yeah.
Her handle was quote only 18.
Okay. I mean, that's consenting age.
Randy would have been like 45 at the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's he's not courting her. He's just watching her at a consenting age, and not in person. Listen, I'm doing my best here. I'm his lawyer, apparently.
Listen, legally, he did nothing wrong.
Legally, so far, these are all accusations. These are alleged.
Okay, I'm gonna have to read this later, Randy. I'm gonna keep interrupting if I keep reading this in the background.
No, you're good.
I'll send you a link to it afterwards.
So,
it's the wildest shit.
Well, no, I remember it. I remember it happening. That's why I think maybe that's why I put Take Two on there. And I think I'd lumped Rockstar in there just because they're so heavily associated with Take Two. But I guess Rockstar, there again, I go back to the working condition stuff again. That is probably just me that cares about that. So, and then the Hausers left, so the creative side of that is like whatever. There was a woman starring in the next GTA that people were really upset by. There was the leak of GTA 6, so there was some stuff there. Also, if you're upset about a woman being playable in GTA, like what? A, I'm surprised you're listening to this podcast. B, what the heck's wrong with you, man? Like, big deal. And there's a male playable as well, so just play as that guy if you want. Go for it.
I'm definitely not playing as a woman.
Of course not. They are less than human.
Yeah.
So,
although, if I do, there's only one thing I'm going to be looking at. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
That was actually the thing that I kept coming back to in my brain where, like, wouldn't you want to play? If your argument is that I'm a straight man and therefore I want to play as a man, like, excuse me? What? You want to stare at a muscular, sweaty dude for, in some cases, dozens of hours as opposed to a nice, attractive lady? I don't understand you.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. That is heterosexuality right there. It makes perfect sense.
Listen, being with women is totally gay.
I totally agree with you, which is why I am a very gay man.
Me and my manly men, we like to go out together and just ourselves. No women allowed.
Anyone listening to this podcast probably knows why EA is on this list. They were the stereotypical evil corporation company before Activision became one, which ironically, I forgot to put Activision on this list, but technically they're part of Microsoft now, so who knows where that goes.
Yeah.
They were manipulative and exploitative in a way that they weren't even shy about it. They were kind of proud of it seemed like, for forever. That was just kind of their thing. So I don't think anyone's
Still
surprised.
the most disliked post in Reddit history. So bad that they had to remove dislikes.
And also, like, it was among the worst places to work at one point. So they fire in all cylinders with the products that they put out, making people unhappy, and the working conditions apparently not great. They just laid off tons and tons of people. EA was number one on this list of the generally disliked. But I got Konami on here, and that's mainly because A, they stopped making games for a long time.
Yeah.
B, the Silent Hill stuff they didn't seem to be crazy about, although that seems to be going in the other direction now. And also I guess they didn't like the way people or Konami handled Kojima's exit. So
yeah, it's like, listen, you're over budget and you're taking too long. Get out of here. People went, well, we like his over budget and take too long games.
Well, not enough of you. We need more of you to like his over budget and take too long games. And since, well, who knows what the story is there, but yeah, people seem to be upset. I remember Keighley coming out after that happened, Jeff Keighley, during one of the award shows, coming out in defense of Kojima after Konami, because they wouldn't let him go to the award show or something like that, so he was upset. Yeah, that was
which is so petty, if true.
If true. Allegedly. And maybe he had a thumb drive, who can say?
Yeah, maybe Konami found his thumb drive and went, Kojima, Even for us depraved salarymen in Japan, this is too far.
Yeah. Like, and then Kojima's like, listen, let me break it down for you. Here's why. Yeah, you'll
Yeah,
understand once I describe the contents of this drive.
yeah.
Uh,
Legally, she's of
she's of
age.
age,
I'm doing nothing wrong.
only 18. Like
Only
as
18.
of this week, 18,
Just turned.
just turned
Just
18.
turned.
Who knows when the videos were recorded, but as of right now, she's 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. That was shade at Randy Pitchford, not Hideo Kojima. He said nothing about a thumb drive as far as I know, but just for
By all
clarity.
accounts, Kojima seems pretty nice.
Yeah, and all
And
of this is alleged. I have to paint the entire allegedly brush over everything we're saying because of the thousands of people that are watching this. One of them might be a lawyer,
yeah.
or listening, I guess. Anyway, so I've got
All right.
the
Let's move
question
on to
mark.
the
Yeah.
yes.
So question mark / on the bubble. We've got Sony / PlayStation, and those are kind of two separate entities that we can talk about. Maybe there's Bethesda. I'm not sure why. Well, I do know why I put that there. Bandai Namco, which that I don't know why I put that. Yes, I do. All right, my memory's coming back as I as I read through these things. Sega, Naughty Dog, Valve, and Microsoft. And now you object to at least one of those, if not two. Probably one because you have a personal interest in one of them.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. But
Yeah.
in general, I was kind of curious about Valve. What have they done?
So the reason I brought up Valve as being on the bubble is because they stopped making games, and people are unhappy that they're not finishing Half-Life or making another Portal or doing Left 4 Dead. They started making games up again, but not seemingly the games that people want. So there's that for you. There's the part where Steam's marketplace is kind of a disaster these days. There's the arguably the business practices behind that, but again, very few people actually care about the behind the scenes wheelings and dealings, so that's probably not a factor. But at the same time, they're
But
Valve, and Steam is a big deal, and people like Steam, and Steam Deck came out, it's a big hit. So
Valve literally released Counter-Strike 2 a year and a half ago.
yeah, well, okay, they don't, they're not finishing Half-Life as of right now. They've come out.
Okay, that's the main problem.
That's kind of the main problem. Is for a very long time they had all of these games that were massive hits that had an extremely loyal following, and then they stopped doing all of it for business reasons, and that's kind of the cardinal sin for the public perception. However,
So if they just made Half-Life 3, everyone would forgive them.
kind of,
And people
I
say
think so.
Half-Life Alex doesn't count.
Yeah, kind of. That was how I was feeling when I put Valve there.
Okay, I get that.
So, but they're on the bubble, right? I don't think they're overly disliked. I just don't know
They're
if
in the
they're
George R. Martin bracket of just
finish the
it.
thing. We like your stuff. We just want to pay you money to get the stuff. You're gonna die before Half-Life 3 comes out. What are you doing?
Yeah,
Gabe.
Who else is on the bubble? Sega. I can get that. Sega are sort of like they've been around forever and they're up and down.
They are up and down like crazy. So like I think I put them on the bubble because of the law of averages. They're high and they're low, and they just leveled
the
out.
perfect microcosm of Sega is when they were doing the Sonic movie and released the trailer, and everyone went, "What's up with his eyes? What are you doing?" And then they worked like crazy to fix it.
They redid, and now yes,
and then everyone watched the movie and went, "Oh, it was actually kind of really fun and excited about the sequel."
and it's a huge hit of a movie now. So it's like in one story we can tell you why Sega is on the bubble,
yeah,
which is
that's the microcosm of Sega's history.
It's like they make a
Like, we did
really
a thing.
dumb decision and then they fix it with something else, and it's just been that way their whole existence, pretty much. At least since they've been in the game industry, they've been around a lot longer than that. So
Sega is like a preschool child who's like, "I did a thing, aren't I great?" And people go, "No, that's stupid. Do this thing instead." Okay,
and also
and then it's great.
I don't want people to forget they also own Relic, or did. I mean, they may have split off, but that was the thing. Relic being the real-time strategy people. So, and they Creative Assembly, they closed them down, I believe, or sold them or something. I should get those details, but there was something involving Creative Assembly, who made the Total War games. They were working on a first person shooter called Hyenas. They canceled Hyenas, and then, which arguably a bad decision to begin with because it was a live service shooter, and they were getting a real time strategy company to make it. And then when Sega realized that was a bad business decision, they canceled the game and closed the studio. So arguably not great for that. So don't want people to forget that.
Yeah. I'm not too aware of all that. Also, we definitely can decouple Sony and PlayStation because
Yeah, they are two separate entities, kind of.
I think Sony. I just think televisions and music.
Yeah. So let's just say PlayStation. Where are you at
They're
with
all
Play?
over the
Yeah.
place. They're all over the place.
Where are they now?
I think I don't know. They're just well, they're everywhere, so they're unavoidable. They've won 2 console generations in a row. This one laughing stock. So
Yeah.
I don't know. They're okay. They're very slow with making games though.
Yeah, and the games they make are beloved. But they also recently released Concord.
Oh
That was
yeah.
their thing. So the biggest failure in the history of video games, historic, just
Yeah.
unbelievable. Couldn't predicted that, and also that was kind of their thing for a bit, where we're gonna quadruple down on live service game. The Last of Us is getting a live service game. The God of War apparently is getting a live service game. Horizon, let's just all of them live service.
The God of War live service game. Like we already tried God of War multiplayer 15 years ago. Nobody liked it.
Apparently, it's still online. I just saw a news story about it that people are still playing it. I kind of want to check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, part of me is thinking there's a reason why Jim Ryan was showing the door. It's like you've lost us like $500 million here, Jim. What are you doing?
I just got an email that said God of War Ragnarok is on sale. That's weird. Immediately as we were talking about God of War, that just happened. Not a big deal, just aside. Yeah, Jim Ryan was like, he saw the writing on the wall. He's like,
I'm out.
people are happy
He's like,
with
listen,
us
we
right
got
now.
he's like, we got 14 games in development, going to make so much money. All right, bye, folks.
The PS5's a massive hit. See ya. We won, guys. We beat Microsoft. I'm out.
Yeah,
Smart guy.
he's like, cancel. I actually would love to know how much money they've wasted on live service nonsense that never even came to fruition or did and was like I would say $500 million has just been flushed away.
Oh, I mean, Concord alone had like several hundred million. So that's public knowledge, I'm pretty sure. So I'm not, I guess, disclaimer, I was slightly involved with Concord when it was in development. Not really much to write home about, but a little bit.
The Last was a fascinating thing of if you just do the mode for a multiplayer that people
Which
liked,
people liked already.
You can have as a little $10 online pass thing, or make it free and have cosmetics or something. Just do the thing.
Make it included with PlayStation
Why?
Plus, something.
Yeah, why they decided let's go absolutely mental and throw all these resources at it.
Well, I mean, you know why they did. Because they wanted
Yeah,
their Fortnite. They wanted their...
they didn't. They shouldn't get the head of Larian to run them for a while.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, the guy that... the Horizon guy is now running most of PlayStation, right? He's like
Herman Hulst.
Yeah, Herman Holtz. He's running half of it, and there's someone running the other half. So Jim Ryan was carrying 2 roles. That's how baller he was. He's like, you know what? I'm just gonna kill it with both of these roles and then get out before everything explodes.
Yeah, didn't he go meet some studio in England and then shut them down the following week?
He did do that, or sent out an email or something. I remember that. Yeah.
What a dickhead!
It's business, man.
He took a picture with them and posted online, like, happy to be here. Then he goes back and is like, yeah, they're all useless. Shut it down.
But you know what? That PlayStation showcase was pretty good. And you know what? People like Helldivers 2. And you know what? People are going to like God of War when it comes out again. People are going to... That's why Sony, specifically PlayStation, is on the bubble, because People seem to really like what they put out, with the exception of the live service stuff. And I really don't think, for the majority of people, the business practices behind the scenes, whether that be development or however you want to look at it, matters to the general public. I just think they see a product and they're like, I'm going to build a reputation on the people that put out this product.
Yeah.
So
I'm just trying to figure out what they're actually doing now, though.
PlayStation,
Yeah, I'm looking
what
at,
they are
oh yeah,
doing,
Ghost of, yeah, well, the studio's the first party.
off the top of my head, they've got, and we didn't mention Insomniac other than briefly saying that people like them, or id Software,
People,
or Capcom. There's just a
ooh,
couple that are out there that are just doing good stuff that people seem to enjoy what they're doing.
people. Oh, did you hear Ted Price is
I
retiring?
did hear that, which was surprising to me because he's not that
Well,
old.
he's been doing it 35
He
years,
has,
so
but he's still relatively young considering.
he looks really
He
good.
looks so good, especially considering his company is called Insomniac. I would think he would look worse.
Yeah, yeah. As in, he's been kind of, he always looked a bit young to be the head of a development
Yeah,
team,
maybe he's in his
and then
70s
as
for
he's,
all I know. He just doesn't age.
yeah, and then as you, I'm just here checking out the PlayStation.
So PlayStation, off the top of my head, they've got, already forgot the name of it because it's pretty generic, Naughty Dog's game, whatever that is. They've got Ghosts of
Uh,
Yotei. They've got
oh, that'd be cool.
um, Wolverine.
Oh, that's ages away.
Yeah,
They
probably.
are Death Stranding 2, but it's now feeling like, that's a Kojima game, and I think he now owns the IP and is just doing, basically it's coming to PlayStation first,
Yeah,
is
there's
what
no
I
way that's
remember.
not coming to Xbox too. I think you're right about
Yeah.
that. Um,
I will give him credit. Astrobot was a pretty big deal.
yeah, Astrobot was great. I love that Astrobot. It's one of the more recent games that I played and cared about. Um, Soros was just announced that they're doing that, which
Mhm.
is the Housemark spiritual successor to Returnal,
Yeah.
which looks cool. I liked Returnal. Uh, but that's off the top of my head, and I've got nothing else. Surely there's other things that they're doing.
Yeah. I think the problem is just, so many remasters and ports and stuff. You kind of go like, what are we doing here,
So
folks?
the studio that made, oh man, Days Gone, the
And
Bend, are they doing anything?
I don't know.
They must be. Santa Monica's
I
got to be doing something. There's no way that, I mean, they made God of War, Ragnarok. They're clearly doing something, but these games are relatively recent, and it takes 8 years to make a game anymore.
Yeah, I'm trying to go down through a list of the PS5 first party games. I was like, oh, Astrobots, yeah. Days Gone remastered. It's like, no, that doesn't count. Death Stranding director's cut. No, that doesn't count.
One of
Demon
the
Souls remake.
one of the Last of Us remasters, because there's quite a few of
What's
those.
one of one of those? Yeah, it's
Surprisingly,
hard.
Uncharted untouched. Not a lot.
Yeah,
Well,
like
I guess they released, didn't they, on PC? They released a bunch of them. So
yeah, they released 4 and Legacy of Thieves.
where's the Nathan Drake collection? As far as that's the one. That's the one you want.
Did people like Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, but it does seem like it came and went, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I haven't played it yet. It's definitely on my list. I like the first two. I should say the first one and Miles Morales. I like both of them. So I would probably like the second one. I just haven't gotten around to
Yeah.
it yet.
We'll give Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart some credit. That was
I
proper
that's a great
PS4 game.
game as well. I really like Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but
yeah,
after just going through
that's
a
a
list
pretty
of,
embarrassing list considering how long PlayStation 5 has been out.
yeah,
5 years?
there's, Until Dawn PS5 version, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, and they don't count.
I agree with you. They don't count. Demon Souls almost counts. At least it's completely remade from the ground up.
PS3 to PS5, perhaps, yeah.
It's still,
Then you have
largely that game,
then
but
you,
at least it's something.
but then you have to count The Last of Us Part 1 because that's a remake of a PS3 game as well.
Yeah. Uh, okay, then I disqualify Demon Souls because I don't want to count Last of Us. I can only
Oh.
say like, oh well, it seems like they did more work on Demon Souls than they did but I can't say that for sure, so I'm going to disqualify both of them.
So, we have Naughty Dog here in the question mark. I will say for a very vocal part of the internet, they are above EA and most disliked.
Can you explain why? Is it because of Last of Us
The Last
Two?
of Us
And
and Neil Druckmann and this new game with the protagonist.
I think you're right, but I disagree with them because at the same time, yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think you're right, but I do think that those people that are loud are overshadowing the part where The Last of Us Two was an insane success. Uh, just millions and millions of
Yeah.
copies sold. The game of the year, nines out of tens, all over the place.
Mhm.
The show is a huge hit, a shockingly huge hit.
Mhm.
Uh, but you're right. I think the loudness of and Neil Druckmann is kind of won't stop talking. He should stop doing that. He should stop talking. Is what he should do. So
Yeah, the amount of folks who'll make videos, it's just type Naughty Dog into YouTube, and
is it
every
angry
every
face
second video, which
against
is not, yeah, it's like just
Arr, woke
to give you an
garbage?
example. Now, you say numbers wise,
Yeah.
the announcement trailer for Intergalactic has almost 300,000 dislikes.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
Why?
there are
Is
well,
it woke garbage?
there are 34,000 comments.
That's engagement, man.
Uh,
They've got it figured out.
yeah, although there's something very funny. The trailer is 2 hours old. Ew, it's so old we need a remaster.
Oh, I guess they're upset about remasters too, but that will never upset me. The remasters, you buy them or don't. Like I don't. People are making money for minimal work, and that's how you get your big expensive games. So calm down about the remasters, people. Uh, Not to mention I don't mind remasters. Like if there's a time where I'm right now streaming and playing the Suikoden remaster, and I'm like, hey, that
Mm.
was just an easily accessible way to play this game, and it looks nicer. Cool. I don't didn't cost that much. It was fine. I don't know what's wrong. Why is that upsetting? Uh,
Yeah. Um,
so uh, what do you attribute? Is it really just people are that mad about The Last of Us? Oh, two
Part 2,
specifically.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I would say so.
I am dying to see the reaction to the season 2 of the TV show. I no spoilers
Yeah.
here. I am dying to see what people say about the. I've never seen the TV show. I likely never will. I know what that story is. I don't need to see it again. But boy, if they were that mad over the
I
game,
Yeah. Well, so,
spoilers.
yeah.
I may have to edit that
I
out.
I I would say that Naughty Dog, for a I would say hundreds of thousands of people, are the most disliked studio.
Yeah. Okay. So are you making the case that we should move it? I'm not going to move any of these, but just spiritually, should we move it?
I would say they've been on a downward trajectory of internet vibes, and
And plus, I think
for since
they took a lot of flack for the Last of Us multiplayer thing, even if that
yeah.
largely wasn't their fault.
Also, they made changes to the TV show.
Oh, did they?
It's Oh, the Last of Us TV show is different from the games in certain ways.
What? But is that a bad thing? Because my criticism of the TV show is that
Um,
it's too similar.
yeah, it depends on your way of thinking. If, like me, I didn't like some of the changes. I thought they were just like, why? Um, I didn't like the change to making Sam younger, and also, made him blind. I was like, why did they do that?
I didn't
And
know
he's
they
like,
did
he's
that.
meant to be around Ellie's age, and they're meant to kind of have like it's his first crush, and they're
Yeah.
meant to kind of like interact and be kids together.
That does seem like change for change's sake, but still largely the story beats are the same, right?
Yeah,
So are people mad about the TV show too?
definitely didn't like Bill's extended episode. There's a portion of the internet doesn't like that.
Yeah, that I knew. So yeah, I think you're making a pretty strong case for why they might just be generally disliked because they
Yeah.
were
That would
very
harm
much
if they
liked.
if Intergalactic had like some Nathan Drake fella front and center, like what up? Gonna go, you know, explore planets and do cool shit.
Bang
Like,
some ladies
yeah, yeah, Naughty Dog's back.
and make sure I am very masculine and you know shirtless in some cases. And
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, I'm into it. So that's PlayStation. I think that's a you did a good job there. I have Bethesda and Bandai Namco. Bethesda was more because of the Starfield stuff. People seem to be unhappy with
I think
that.
Bethesda's category should be studio we all laugh at.
This is your studio you're talking about,
Yeah,
and you still
I
want to laugh at
call
it.
in I call in Todd Howard every morning and make him sit there for 5 minutes while I laugh at him.
All right, that's pretty good.
And I'm like, can you make one game without so many goddamn bugs, Todd?
Yeah, you've
Come
earned
on.
it. You've earned it. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely there's the bugs thing, which that's kind of always bothered me, but I seem to be alone. It seems to bother people more now than it used to. I remember Fallout
I
4
think because
came out,
we
and I was just like, this is buggy, man.
I think it's because we have the contradiction of him on stage saying it just works.
He did say that, and he was right in some ways, but in others, makes him yeah.
So I think we all just accept Bethesda can't do anything right. But eventually their games will be good. You know, they come out and be like, oh yeah, yeah, fucking travesty. Give it 6 months.
But on
Then it'll
top
be a
of
winner.
it, there was the part where they are now under Microsoft, which a lot of people didn't love. Their games are now exclusive to Microsoft, which a lot of people didn't love. Although that's
Um,
changing,
then yeah, I went,
eh,
what?
which is a
We can make
decision.
more money. Oh yeah, let's make more money.
Yeah, I think that was a big part of it. They bought that which was a long time ago at this point, but they didn't. I don't think people loved that at the time.
Yeah, wasn't there some email that got leaked about is the head of Bethesda or the head of id, and he was complaining that how come this studio gets to have their game released to everybody and ours now has to be exclusive.
Well, I pulled up a lot of gaming history today, but that one I'm actually not sure about.
Mm, yeah, there's like if a game series is already multi-platform, if you then make it exclusive, that's just being an asshole.
uh,
Except one case where I did think it was acceptable, and that was Bayonetta 2, because nobody wanted
no,
to
yeah,
fund
no one was going
Bayonetta
to play
2.
that if that wouldn't exist if it wasn't
And then
exclusive to
yeah,
Nintendo. And it was
some
also on
lunatic at Nintendo
Nintendo,
went,
which is the generally liked company, so that's okay.
yeah, yeah, some lunatic at Nintendo was like, "But I love Bayonetta. Let's make another one."
There has to be other instances of once multi-platform. There are definitely series that have changed platforms. Like Final Fantasy used to be a Nintendo one, and then it switched to PlayStation back in the '90s.
Mhm.
Resident Evil was PlayStation, and then it switched to GameCube very briefly until they realized that the GameCube did not sell nearly as much as they wanted, so they had to put it on other stuff. Uh,
Okay, I'm bringing up a list. We're saying Marvel Ultimate
that's true.
Spider-Man games?
But oh yeah, that's fair. Actually, that's a fair point. They used to be on everything,
Mhm.
and then now they're not, and that's a big one. That's a licensed
Uh-huh.
property. That's a big one. People don't talk about that.
Mhm.
How come no one said that uh, when Bethesda? Which, by the way, I don't think Bethesda actually put any existing franchises exclusively to Microsoft. I don't think that ever happened yet. Elder Scrolls has not come out yet. Starfield was a new franchise, so there was no, and Doom is still on everything.
Yeah.
Um, But for argument's sake, let's say they are going to do that. How come no one brought up Spider-Man, which is exactly that? At one point, hey, Activision used to make Spider-Man games. Microsoft owns Activision. Now they just don't have Spider-Man at all.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That blows my mind.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
Spider-Man seems. Yeah, literally, I think the first game sold 20 plus million copies.
Yeah. That's a massive one. Holy mackerel. That got me. You got me with that one.
Yeah.
Because
Do you know
they used to
why?
be on everything.
Yeah. It was exclusive to the most popular console, and also Insomniac were making it, and everyone likes Insomniac.
Exactly. So it was the question mark publisher of PlayStation with the generally liked developer of Insomniac. They could do no wrong.
And many people had been craving a great Spider-Man. There's been good ones,
Yeah.
but in terms of getting that like proper AAA feeling Spider-Man game, I was like, damn, Sony going to pump money into it, and with the developer a good track record. So I think that's why they got the pass, is because okay, we'll get a good Spider-Man game, a great Spider-Man game, and we'll put up with the exclusivity
Right.
because it is a great game.
Right. It was like finally the Spider-Man fans are getting their Batman Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
Essentially is what it was like, yes. And now that's kind of like ushering in a new era, hopefully, of superhero games. Like, okay, we did it twice now. It can be done. Let's get not Wonder Woman because that was canceled. But hey, what about Wolverine? Wolverine's cool. I like Wolverine personally, so that's gonna be
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
And we've got Microsoft here. I don't know. This might actually be on the generally disliked these days.
I think Microsoft are a bit of a, stumbling mess, and they have been since Xbox One.
They really messed up by doing that all digital thing, which is in retrospect hilarious because that's where we are today. But at the time, the world was not ready for digital rights stuff. And it didn't help that it was $100 more expensive than the PlayStation 4. They should have as soon as PlayStation 4 said we are $100 cheaper, they should have said like on second thought, uh, so is ours.
We yeah, we are Microsoft. We can take a hit in the
Yeah,
consoles.
never
Let's just
mind.
take
And
that.
also, we're backpedaling, which they did do. They did backpedal on the digital rights thing, but the reputation was just solidified. First impressions are really strong, and then Xbox One, they just couldn't recover. It's somewhat of a tragedy,
Yeah,
but
I think that the there might legitimately come a time when folks at Microsoft look at Xbox and go, "Well, let's just shut all this down and sell it off, because what are we
yeah.
doing?"
I worked with my former boss was a former Microsoft employee, and he gave me plenty of stories of like he witnessed Microsoft see very profitable portions of their company just get axed because they're like it's not profitable enough.
Mm.
Like it's very profitable, you know, tens of millions of dollars, but it's not hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not billions of dollars, and that's where we deal with in Microsoft money. You are wasting our time. We could if if you're if you're not over the 100 million mark, you are small potatoes. You are couch cushions. Go work at Microsoft Office. Put more muscle behind that stuff. Go get Windows doing stuff. Why are you wasting your time with this other stuff? And if
Yeah.
and if the gaming division ends up heading in that direction, I could totally see that eventually. Yeah, or they just become a publisher of games.
Yeah, this massive acquisition, of so many studios. Um, yeah, I'm trying to figure out here in the background if they are actually profitable. The hardware doesn't turn a profit. Huh.
Got to get them into the homes, which isn't working.
uh,
I know
yeah, I don't
this
know.
hurts you especially as Microsoft CEO.
Yeah. What? I'm not profitable.
It doesn't seem to be affecting you much, but
Okay, here's an earnings report from the first quarter of 2025. 61% increase in Xbox software revenue. That's good. The Oh, this is Microsoft. I don't want Microsoft. That's Of course Microsoft is up. Microsoft's always up.
it's true.
Uh, I'm trying to figure what the game. Okay, they're pretty happy with Game Pass. It's see, all the numbers are up. The numbers are up. The numbers are up. But then like,
they're not up enough.
yeah, I have to figure it out in the
Yeah.
background. But they've had a bit of a swing and a miss these past 2 generations, and I'm very curious about what they're going to do for next generation.
Yeah. I think so. I have them in the on the bubble category, but I think they might be in the generally disliked. If they definitely will be if they continue down this path of these very bizarre, stumbling block decisions that they're making. But who knows?
Yeah.
That I think is going to conclude the discussion on companies that we like or dislike and why, or maybe the public perception is that they like them or dislike them or why. It was fascinating because it's just something that we all seem to have an opinion about, but don't really put into words what it is. And I'm glad we had this discussion, and I feel better about it. I worked through a lot here today. I have a hard out in terms of this podcast, so we've got to wrap it up here. Unless Adam, definitely Adam, do you hype stuff? Like people go watch the Elden Ring video when that goes public. Do you have a date for that?
Saturday, 2 p.m.
All right, so
Ireland time.
Saturday, 2 p.m. Just look on Saturday because I can't convert that time for you. Saturday, the
Yeah.
Platinum Journey for Elden Ring is on youtube.com/Adam McDermott.
Or become a channel member or patron and watch it right now.
Is that patreon.com/Adam McDermott?
Yeah.
So go there, and I'm a subscriber. You should all be subscribers. So, anything else you want to rep?
Just the video I've been working on for 5 months. That's kind of just my main thing at the moment. Yeah.
Definitely go watch that. I will be watching it. So, and then there's me. I'm Randy Fluharty. Go to youtube.com/Randy Fluharty if you're not already there. Subscribe, comment, like, all that stuff. It's also on most major podcast platforms, including Apple. I conquered the Apple ecosystem. It should be on there. Go check out Health Bar Half Full for that. And then there's a bunch of live streams and stuff on the main channel. Adam, thank you so much. I'm going to hit the music now. Next podcast is March 20th. Oh?
March 20th? Next week?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Should be 2 weeks from today.
So I
March 27th.
won't make that one.
Okay.
I will be on a 10-hour bus.
Yeah, no problem. We'll find either we can record a different day or I can just find something to do to fill the slot. Not a big deal. Life comes first. I still appreciate you being here regardless.
April 10, I'm good.
Okay. Well, definitely have Adam back on April 10th. Maybe we can get Nathan in here next time. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, thank you again so much. And thank you everybody for listening. I think I mentioned I was going to hit the music. If I didn't, I'm hitting the music. And thank you, Evan Vath, for the music. It is great. Go check out his Spotify. It's in the description. Everyone have a good one. See you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.